Thank you, Professor Soliman. One of the best lectures on this subject that I have heard in my whole life of 40 years in the vascular field. Congratulations you. I have no fight with you. You have almost told whatever I wanted to say, but I will add something if possible. Disclosure form, none. I come from the southernmost part of India, that is Kerala, one of the best destinations in the world. Now, this is very important. Why some amount of bed rest is needed. Ankle and knee joint arthrosis in these patients, we call it phleboarthrosis, and we have published it. So we have to teach these patients foot and knee exercises. That means the foot muscle pump and the calf muscle pump. Without this working, nothing's going to happen. So my patient, I run a wound care clinic also. It's a charitable hospital. So we admit the patients for 3 or 4 days till we can work out the problems, teach them all these things, and we'll come to that later. Of course, again, we have done published papers on this. That's not important. This is also not important. But this shows chronic venous insufficiency and atypical venous ulcers is a problem. We need compression. We need some amount of bed rest for them and exercises, as you rightly told. Why compression? We don't have to go into the details. It has been well accepted that in all chronic venous limb ulcers, we need compression. The foot muscle pump is the key here. Without the foot muscle pump working, no amount of exercise is going to work. The calf muscle pump is not just important. Foot muscle pump is even more important. Of course, structure of the foot, no details. Anti-gravity muscles, no details. It's known to all of you. What I am trying to say, this is some original work we have been doing for the last 2 years. Inshallah, if you people call me again, I will present this results. We do what is the foot scan. Eversion, inversion deformity of the ankle and foot. How the ankle eversion and inversion creates a problem in atypical venous ulcers. Sorry. Of course, inversion deformity. Then we have pes planus. I don't have to tell anything about it. Intractable venous ulcers. And we have to think about phlebolymphedema because it includes vein and the lymphatics. And a very bad state is elephantiasis verrucosa, which you can just see. Such patients, you have to admit the patient, motivate the patient, give them exercise, as he rightly told, and then slowly, gradually increase the compression. The first day, don't put the compression, and the night that compression bandage is going to come off. So 1-layer bandage, 2-layer bandage, 3 and 4-layer bandage. In my country, being very hot and humid, just like parts of your country, 4-layer bandage is not tolerated by patients. We go for a 2-layer bandage with the inner light gamma padding and absorbent pad on the ulcer, plus a cohesive, semi-cohesive bandage that is semi-stretch also, a combined bandage as is internationally known. Of course, you have to recognize between plain lymphangitis and vein-induced lymphangitis. Correlations between arch and foot, I will not go into details. I think when you find these kind of ulcers, this is what we call as an atypical venous ulcer. Now, what happens? This is treated, getting treated. That's fine. Now, what happens here? Most of the Indians and the Arabic-speaking people, the ordinary people, all of us are wearing shoe here. How many of our patients coming to government hospitals, charitable hospitals, can afford a shoe even today? Or is mentally prepared to wear a proper shoe? I'm a diabetic, I'm a hypertensive. After 3 COVID vaccines, I have paresthesia in the foot. I'm wearing a shoe, which I don't like. If I come to this part of the, I used to wear leather shoes. I can't wear leather shoes. All these patients have such problems. So you have to admit them, treat them by convincing them that this is the treatment. That is what we call bed rest. Not just diet alone. Diet alone will not. Once you give them exercise, as you rightly told, once you give them bed rest and motivate the patient, start physiotherapy, start the exercises, then the problem settles down. Now I will not, okay, this also I will not. Okay, what we do is a 3D scan, food, laser printed insole, etc. That is not important to me. Now I will talk a little hybrid, what I always wanted to tell. I've been a good friend of Egypt in my Saudi days in 1991. And for 10 years, I've been coming to see you people. You know what is adipocyte endocrine syndrome? The same thing which your country has. No comments. This destroys the thyroid gland in many a condition and causes hyperuricemia also, and so many other endocrine problems. We have to admit some of these patients who are very obese to take control. Teach them, as I'm repeating again, teach them, motivate them. The next is, let us all understand, most of these ulcers are post-thrombotic ulcers. No doubt about it. Most of them. Then, venous problems causes lymphatic overload. Now, without relieving the edema, we are not going to do anything good for these patients and needs. And there is also in such patients a biofilm. We have to address the biofilm. Now, what I personally do is in our clinic, as I told, we have huge numbers. We elevate the foot with 2 pillows under the mattress. We don't have those fancy beds where you can elevate that. We elevate only the foot with 2 pillows under the mattress, and we try to see lymph is elevated in such a level that the venous pressures at the foot comes down to almost zero, above the level of the right. And then do not elevate the foot end of the bed, because obese patients, the diaphragm moves up, the right atrium filling pressures go low, high, pulmonary hypertension, and very much uncomfortable. So just elevate the foot only and under the mattress. If you put it on the mattress, whenever he or she remembers the spouse, one kick in the sleep, the pillow will run away. So antibiotic I rarely use, but still I take an MIC culture. When do I use an antibiotic? Only when I know that it is spread distally above the joint. Otherwise, no antibiotic. What I do is, I just like Claude Franceschi, who was my mentor in this, he was using demerara sugar and honey. In India, no demerara sugar, no honey. We use refined sugar. In a mixie, we make it a thick powder, like blue powder, put a thick amount of on the wound, then put an absorbent pad. Every 2-3 days, we remove it and the biofilm goes off. So the antibiotic we don't use. That is why, sir, Professor Soliman, we have to admit some of these patients. And most of, like in your country, most of these patients may be coming from the Majra or the desert, 200 or 300, 400 kilometers away. You can't tell you do this, go back. No way. Then patients with systemic endocrine problems, other systemic problems, address those problems before sending the patient back. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ray. At the end of the debate, who is management of chronic venous ulcer by exercise and compression?